Look at this. This is your fault.
Sir, I didn't do anything.
Liar. Everyone saw it.
Please, sir, calm down.
A quiet dinner turned into something no one in that room would ever forget. The kind of moment that starts small, almost invisible, but ends up changing lives. Forever. He saw it in just a second, the way she flinched, the way she quickly pulled down her sleeve, the way her eyes tried to hide something deeper than simple tiredness. And in that moment, everything changed. Because sometimes, the smallest act of noticing, can become the biggest act of kindness. Before we begin, if stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Welcome to Kindness Lights, where every story reminds us that kindness still exists in this world. It was a busy Friday night in a luxury restaurant in downtown Chicago. The kind of place where powerful people came to unwind, close deals, and celebrate success. Among them sat Daniel Reed, a well-known billionaire, respected not just for his wealth, but for his calm, observant nature. He wasn't loud, didn't demand attention, and preferred watching the world quietly from his corner table. That night, something caught his eye. A young waitress named Emily approached his table. She looked polite, professional, but something about her seemed off. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes, and when she reached out to place the water glass, her sleeve slipped just enough for Daniel to see a dark mark on her arm. She quickly pulled it back, pretending nothing happened. Most people wouldn't have noticed. But Daniel did. And he couldn't unsee it. As Emily continued serving, Daniel kept observing gently, without making her uncomfortable. He noticed how she avoided eye contact when anyone stood too close, how she slightly winced when carrying heavier trays, and how her movements felt cautious, like she was trying not to hurt herself further. When she came back to take his order, Daniel spoke softly, "Are you okay?" Emily froze for a second. Then she forced a small smile and said, "Yes, sir. Just a long day." But Daniel had spent years reading people. He knew that wasn't the truth. He didn't push further. Instead, he simply nodded and said, "I'll have the usual." "And, take your time." The evening continued, but Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. He had seen enough in his life to recognize when someone was silently asking for help, without saying a word. After finishing his meal, instead of leaving, Daniel asked the manager if he could speak privately with Emily for a moment. The manager hesitated, but Daniel's respectful tone made it clear this wasn't anything inappropriate. When Emily came over, she looked nervous. Maybe she thought she had made a mistake. Maybe she feared losing her job. But Daniel's voice was calm. "You don't have to tell me anything you're not comfortable with," he said. "But I've seen those marks before, on people who needed help." Emily's eyes immediately filled with tears. She tried to hold them back, but they spilled anyway. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, in a quiet, trembling voice, she whispered, "I didn't think anyone would notice." That one sentence said everything. She explained how she had been struggling at home. How someone she trusted had been hurting her. How she felt trapped, scared, and alone. She had kept showing up to work. Pretending everything was fine, because she didn't know what else to do. Daniel listened, really listened. No interruptions. No judgment. Just patience and understanding. And then, he did something no one expected. He didn't just offer sympathy. He took action. That very night, Daniel arranged for Emily to stay in a safe place. He connected her with professionals who could support her, legally and emotionally. He made sure she had access to resources, protection, and most importantly, a chance to start over. But he didn't stop there. Quietly, without any media attention, Daniel funded a local program that helped people in similar situations. He realized that Emily wasn't the only one silently suffering. There were so many others, hiding their pain behind smiles, waiting for someone to notice. Word of what happened slowly spread, not because Daniel wanted recognition, but because the people involved were deeply moved. The restaurant staff couldn't believe it. The guests who witnessed the moment were left speechless. But for Emily, it meant everything. Weeks later, Emily returned to the restaurant, not as the same person, but as someone stronger, safer, and hopeful again. She walked up to Daniel, who had come back quietly for dinner, and this time, her smile was real. "You didn't just help me," she said softly. "You saved me." Daniel shook his head gently and replied, "No, you were strong enough to survive. I just noticed." And that's what made the whole story so powerful. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about status. It was about paying attention. About choosing to care when it's easier to look away. About understanding that sometimes, kindness doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to be present. Because the truth is, we pass by people every day who are fighting battles we can't see. A kind word, a simple question, a moment of genuine concern, it can mean more than we ever realize. That night in Chicago wasn't just another dinner. It became a reminder that one small act of kindness can ripple out and change countless lives. So the next time you notice something, don't ignore it. The next time you feel someone might need help, don't stay silent. Because you never know, your kindness might be the very thing that saves someone. And in a world that can sometimes feel cold and distant, choosing kindness is the most powerful thing we can do.